we have been reporting this today. They've been speaking out against these plans, although it's not set in stone just yet. As Environment Minister and as a Liberal hailing from an agriculture-heavy electorate, do you share the Prime Minister's preference for this net zero target by 2050?
Yes, I do, Ash, and I'm delighted to join you from this warehouse in Macquarie Park where we're recycling school uniforms. 12,000 tonnes of uniforms go into landfill each year. So my focus was on plastic and glass and paper last year. This year it's on textiles, and yes, I'm very happy to talk about the important role that agriculture will play and does play in reaching our ambition of net zero by 2050.
I will get back to what you're doing there at the recycling centre shortly. I know you're keen to talk about that, but I am keen to get a sense from you as to whether you think there is a disconnect between the Nationals and the farmers that they purport to represent when it does come to a willingness to commit to a net zero target by 2050.
What I can say is that as someone who represents a rural electorate and sees the work that our farmers are doing around climate adaptation, about modifying their farming practices, about meeting the market when it comes to sustainable, clean, green and innovative, I see this as an opportunity, and I see farmers stepping up across the country with great initiatives, with great ideas. And if I can just say one thing, Ash, it's that when you visit a farmer who understands, yes, we're living in a changing climate, the impact of climate change, the changing world market, but they tell you what they are doing to meet that, to overachieve and really to demonstrate the value of what they produce. I'm so proud. I'm so proud of our farmers and what they're doing in rural Australia.
So are the Nationals being unhelpful on this issue, airing these grievances publicly when the net zero target by 2050 isn't even official policy yet?
Well, look, they're your words, and maybe they're other people's words, but they're not mine. We work collaboratively and constructively within our two parties and our two-party rooms. And most importantly, we'll work with the agriculture sector at the table collaboratively and constructively. So agriculture needs to have a place at the table, a strong voice in the discussion, because yes, they are central to it and they do have a role to play. But I don't see this as a defensive move for our agriculture sector. I see it, as I said, as an opportunity for them to step up, showcase what they do and demonstrate to the world the good story that we have to tell. If you look at the ambitions within the technology roadmap, soil carbon is one of them. And if you consider how Australia's fragile soils that have been farmed for a long time can be repaired, can be rehabilitated, but can come back and hold water and really feed their local environment in a way that perhaps we haven't understood until now, that just ticks so many boxes. It's sequestering carbon, but it's also providing a much more productive base for your agriculture, whatever you're doing on your farm, whether it be grazing, whether it be cropping. And meet some agronomists from rural Australia. They understand this. The young people who work in this sector are very excited by all of the debate that brings them and their productivity to the fore.
Okay, so this sort of target wouldn't be the end of farming in Australia?
Well, as the Prime Minister has said, we've got to be measured, we've got to be sensible, and we've got to cost it. And of course our ambition is to get there as early as we possibly can. But if you look at some of those themes in the technology roadmap, I mentioned soil carbon, there's hydrogen, there's aluminium and steel produced in a sustainable way, there's carbon capture and storage. You can actually see this coming to life. There's batteries, of course. You can see, yes, we are going to get there. The question is how we map it out and how we give people confidence. Because if you're an industry that is an emitter, you need to know what it means for you. If you're a consumer, you need to know what it means for you in terms of cost. But be proud, I say. We are one of the highest users and adopters of renewable energy in the world. And again, we've got a lot that we can tell the rest of the world in terms of our science and innovation.
You alluded at the beginning of the interview to what's going on behind you there. You've revealed this plan to recycle the hundreds of thousands of tonnes of clothing discarded by Australians each year. I see that you're giving $350,000 to a group called Circular Threads who will focus on this. I note, though, that the UK's House of Commons Environmental Audit Committee looked at this very problem of fast fashion recently. It recommended a penny being added to the cost of each garment to try and fund a multi-million-dollar clothes recycling scheme. Is it time for us in Australia to look at this problem on more of a broader scale? The circular thread scheme that you're promoting today certainly does seem worthy, but in reality, is it really going to make much of a dent in the problem more broadly here in Australia?
We are certainly looking at it on a broader scale. That's what this is about. We're bringing together the fashion houses, the retailers, the charities, the people who pick up the clothes and consumers. We're not telling them what to do. We're asking them how we best tackle what is a huge amount of textiles, particularly clothing. As I said, 12,000 tonnes of uniforms, branded uniforms, that go into landfill each year. And places like this, a group called Worn Up, that is recycling those school uniforms and turning them into things like tiles or desks, or even outdoor furniture, or dog beds. So the startup here says, whatever you think you would like to produce, you can probably include recycled textiles and plastic in that. So the concept here is product stewardship, Ashley, which is that the whole life cycle of the product is looked after. You don't make something with a view that it's just going to be thrown away. We've tackled car seats, we've tackled child car seats, we've tackled batteries. We're looking at solar panels. This year, after our big waste recycling innovation fund around plastics and paper and glass and tires, I want to focus on textiles and do something about the amount of plastic-based material that is being thrown away and actually give it some use.